Hey Diana, how you doing?
Good. How are you, Miguel?
Pretty good, pretty good. So I noticed we're here at the EdTech 2020 conference website. Why are we here?
Well, you're in for a treat because we have the educational technology. These are the students in the master's program that have actually put together the EdTech 2020 conference, and they are here to tell us about it.
Oh, that's phenomenal. So I see we have Dr. Liz Stevens in the room, so to speak. Dr. Liz, do you want to share a little bit about this, or maybe introduce, or do you want to pass it on to someone else?
Well, I'll just tell a little bit about it, and then I'm going to be quiet through this because it's really their show. So I just want to tell you that we started this course online. It wasn't a result of the coronavirus uh, epidemic. So we have been working on this since January. This is the first time, however, that we put on an online conference. And this course has done the online conference for years. I think, Diana, you were involved with it some years ago when you were also a student in this program.
Yes.
Um, and and it was always live and it was wonderful. But because the Highland program, we had to do this way. And we have really, just shake your heads if you agree with me, guys, but you really have learned a lot about how to put something like this together. So on that note, I'll step away and let them tell you about what they've learned.
So fantastic. Go. Would one of you like to speak?
Sure. So my name is Stephen Garcia. I am part of the EdTech Master's Program students, and I'm not a traditional student. Sorry, I am a non-traditional student, but I'm not a teacher per se. I work actually at a hospital in a laboratory. So I don't know if you're doing video feed, but I get to wear a mask every day for now as part of my job, as part of this virus outbreak that we're dealing with, this pandemic. And it's been real interesting. And doing online stuff, everyone was thrown into the fray. Everyone was thrown into having to go to this model. So it's very interesting that we get to do this. Like Dr. Stevens was saying, it wasn't part of our planning, unless Dr. Stevens knew somehow that this was going to happen. Did you know? But it's really interesting to have to do this because we get kind of firsthand of the struggles of many people that are going through this transition right now in education. So efforts were way more than I thought it needed to be as far as my prospect of thinking. And what is talking about success. Well, who knows what success is going to look like, because we're the ones creating it, but we really need that feedback from our students that look at it, or for people that look at it. So that would be something that's really nice to see at the end of this. But again, me being a non-traditional student, I've worked in my degree for 9 years, and which is clinical laboratory science, and I teach a molecular diagnostics course at Texas State University for the last 4 years. And so I've really enjoyed that. So I want to become a teacher, and I'm trying to as soon as I can. But that's me in a nutshell. I know I've taken up probably far too much time, so I'll be quiet now.
Thank you, Stephen. Gail, Sam, or Liam, did y'all want to jump in and share your insights and introduce yourselves real quick?
Hey, well, I'll go next. Based on what Stephen said, I think really Dr. Stevens had a insight into what was happening in terms of this was really going to happen in the future, because even our theme is really in tune with what is happening now, learning in a new age. And as I look at districts struggle to make learning accessible for students online, definitely this theme really resonates throughout with what we're going through right now. I have the honor of looking at this from both perspectives because I've been in education for 10 years. So I'm one of those, if you want to call it, old teachers in it. And I have always had that issue dealing with technology before. And getting into it and really seeing what it was like, having to move from that transition from not having too much technology to diving fully into it. The district I was at, they were now doing that when I got there. So I really got to see the processes behind having to make everything, into technology using learning management systems. So I got really intrigued by that. And that's how I came back to Texas State to pursue a second master's in educational technology. So I don't consider myself a techie, but I really do love that merging of technology with the curriculum.
That's fantastic, Gail. I think a lot of us start out with getting enchanted with what's possible, and I know my journey has been a little bit different. I remember the first time I worked with a computer, I failed miserably at it. I had no idea what I was doing. And then over time, I've gotten a lot more comfortable. And after a while, you realize, let's give it a shot. Let's try it out. And I hope that people will join in on Saturday, April 25th, and approach it with the fresh spirit of learning, even though it may seem a little desperate at this point with COVID-19 sort of breathing down our necks. But thank you. Sam, Liam?
Yes, this is Sam. I've been working in the private school sector for about 12 years now as a EdTech, and just trying to get acclimated with doing online learning right now has been a beautiful struggle, as I like to call it. But I think this conference will help people learn some new tips and tricks, because I think being in educational technology, you never know enough. It's like there's always a new application or there's always a new update. So there's always something new to learn or grow from. So I think this conference is something that's going to be really helpful for people who are either in the educational field or just trying to learn something new about what's going on in this realm. But it's definitely been very unique trying to onboard families and students to learning online. And I think right now we're down to maybe 4 more weeks left in the school year, and it's still like we're still scrambling. Every day feels like there's something new, but it's a good learning curve. So I feel like this conference is going to be something that I'm going to learn from. I'm already learning from my classmates every day as we grow and build this conference from the ground up. But I think it's going to be a really amazing thing on the 25th.
I think so. I think so as well. Danielle, Liam?
My name's Liam Highland. I'm a Texas State University student. I had originally studied biology going into my undergrad work, but I was born and raised in the absolute core time of the technology era in the 90s. So I would consider myself a techie, and I would consider myself kind of on the front of a lot of things. Many of the programs we ended up using during this time I was already familiar with, and there's been a lot that's come out that I was not familiar with. I got introduced to the EdTech program last year through their conference, where I learned about a number of startups and established things that I'd never heard of before that were fantastic resources as a teacher. And so I'd hope to continue to offer that kind of thing to anyone coming in the future.
Diana?
I think we have one more. Danielle?
Yes, I'm Danielle Darrow, and I'm working on the master's. This is actually my last semester, and I'm not a per se teacher. I've only taught as a volunteer. But when I was doing my master's in education, I took a class in educational technology, and I just fell in love with it. My bachelor's is in communication design, so being a graphic designer, that really was like, I should have done this master's because it really ties in my love for education and technology. And so that's how I started the master's in education. And working on this conference has been really rewarding. It was, I learned so much from putting the, having to put this conference together from building it from the ground up, since it's the first time that we're going to be offering it online. And I think like we discussed, there's so many things that we just discussed in the beginning, and especially like being able to provide flexibility for the conference so that people could attend at different times if they had to, and not only during that time slot. And that was all done before COVID-19. So it was really interesting to see how important those decisions were, and helped us in providing, the flexibility that participants are probably going to need, so that they can participate either on Saturdays with the live chats, or they can also participate during the week, and still being able to participate in the chats, but they won't be live then. And let's see here. So one of the tips that I would like to share with people that are, especially with educators right now, is to use the opportunity just to be creative with the projects and assignments that you're providing your students. Like explore apps as tools that students can use. Like technology is so intuitive to kids, and they learn like basic apps in 5 to 10 minutes. So like take advantage of that and allow them to unleash their creativity by giving them projects that they will have an end product that they can share with others. And I think like some of the conference sessions are going to give some ideas on how to do that. So that's going to be interesting for educators to participate on.
Danielle, I think you've touched on something that others have also pointed out, and I'm really curious about how what was y'all's thinking behind developing the conference? How did you identify the obstacles that you were going to have to overcome? And you sort of you alluded to some of them in your response, Danielle, by pointing out trying to make it so that it could be synchronous but also asynchronous as well. But how did y'all come together and work through that? Because I know that a lot of places and a lot of education organizations are probably getting ready to undertake that same journey, and they'll be curious as to how you chose educational technology, learning in a new age, to appear in the way that it has. So what was y'all's thinking processes, as you mentioned earlier? And that question's for all of you.
Yeah. So I don't know if we had, much of a brainstorming. We did have some, we talked and we had a lot of ambition going into this. And if I were to say any tips of mine would be to keep it as simple. If you're doing just, if you're doing a conference for the first time online like we did, try to keep it simple as possible as you're starting out, and then not to be too ambitious, but be like Danielle says, be creative. And the obstacles are just communication, like who's doing what, who's doing that. Thankfully, Dr. Stevens did a really good job of keeping us in line and kind of keeping the flow going with people. So that really helps. So a central person to do that, to kind of be the person encouraging others, making sure that creativity is still there and people are talking to each other. That's important, at least from what I thought.
And that statement kind of reminds me of maybe having a project manager on board that's going to kind of keep everyone on task. So I was wondering, did you all have specific roles as to what you did when it comes to the conference?
Yeah, at the start of the semester, I believe Dr. Stevens sent out a questionnaire or something that just had us basically go over what we knew to do or what we were familiar with. And from there, we were kind of lightly assigned into 3 different teams, where my skills were mostly in editing, working with images, working with things like Discord and Slack. And so she said, well, you might be good in design, or in the to make the look of it like the banner that you're looking at right now on the screen. If we disagree with that, then we can change teams. So I think basically everyone felt pretty comfortable with where they were put. I guess I can't speak for everyone else, but I thought she was correct there with that decision.
And I noticed you all have also have your topics and speakers. I was looking at that earlier, and I noticed y'all are doing a lot of presenting. Did y'all open this up to others outside of I guess your class or group, or was it always the plan for y'all to do all the presenting?
I think because Dr. Stevens gave us full reign, as you want to say, in terms of deciding how we want the conference to look, the virtual conference to look. We more or less had leeway to say, who would be looking at, we would be looking at for presenters. And I think within the groups, we had probably other persons wanting to present, but originally I think the idea was for just us to be the presenters, but it was good that we had other presenters come on board to offer their skill set.
Now, I know Diana really wanted to present at this event, and I don't see her name in the list. So Diana, it sounds like it might still be possible to
And
get you.
I don't see your name either, Miguel.
Okay, well, so Gail,
yeah, for sure.
So how does this work? Because okay, I've registered, and I think your registration was set up through Eventbrite, and so folks will register for the conference. They'll go through this and get in, and then what happens next?
Once on the day of the conference, starting on Saturday the 25th, at 10 a.m., you can just go into the website and you can click on any of the links that you want to, like whatever session you want to start with. And when you click on that day, and starting on that day, you will get to that page where you have a little description in the bio, and then under that, there's going to be the video or whatever meme that the person chose as a way of presentation. And there's also going to be a chat below that people can participate in. And the only thing is, to participate in the chats, you should have a Padlet account. So make sure that if you sign up to sign up for a Padlet account at padlet.com. And it's free, and it's just a way for you to participate on the chats.
So
add that the live chats will be from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central Time.
Okay, so if we want to participate live and actually chat with y'all, we can come in at any time between 10 and 2. But if for whatever reason we're doing something else, I can't imagine what else we could be doing. Y'all really have a captive audience. So you can come in afterwards, and after 2 o'clock, and all the videos will be posted. Will the chats also be available? So that way people can read them and things like that?
Yes, the chats will be available, and they will be available throughout the following week. So it's going to be available up to May 1st or May 2nd? Up to, give me a second.
May 2nd.
May 2nd, up to May 2nd. And the speaker will still engage throughout the week, and you should expect a response within 24 to 48 hours.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Danielle. So just out of curiosity, I'm wondering if we could wrap up with a quick one-line, what's the most important thing about your presentation why should we go to your presentation? Liam, we'll start with you since you're right there at the top there, creating an online classroom in Discord. That's pretty interesting, Discord. I've heard that before.
Yes, I think the most important part is it's a nice unifying software that has a lot of aspects that other pieces of software have, that you just put it all together, you have one place to go, and it doesn't get any more complicated than that.
Fantastic. Stephen, creating fabulous internet interview videos. That's definitely a life skill.
Yeah, so mine will be more about lighting setup and doing an interview and to kind of give an example of how that works and to get proper lighting and the importance of it. And in this age of social distancing, having a good where you can see the person's expressions, I think is important, and it makes it a little easier. So that's what mine's gonna be about.
Thank you, Stephen. Danielle, exploring the creativity of digital storytelling.
Okay, so mine's going to be about using apps as tools to creating digital stories, because we're all storytellers, and it's a way of helping our it's a different way for educators to help students to develop their writing skills and their storytelling skills. And so we're going to be exploring 3 apps, which is Story Jumper, Make Believe Comics, and Spark Video, as ways to create digital storytelling.
Cool. Sam, how to use Zoom?
How do you Zoom? Pretty much self-explanatory. With COVID-19, I feel like most people, if you're not using Google Meet, you're using Zoom for your daily meetings between your students, even your family members, and just showing people how to use the basic tips and tricks throughout Zoom to make it easy and efficient.
Thanks. I have no doubt that your session will be viewed many times.
Yeah, I agree, Miguel. There's quite a need right now for people wanting to learn how to use Zoom.
Yeah. Gail, technology and content engagement, Shake Up Learning.
Oh, mine stems basically from my experience, like I said, being a math educator, and we know how students love math so much in this country. So just for educators to make learning engaging for students, I think that's the whole idea of using technology. I'm going to be using Google Forms, so I'm looking at actually the free tools that there are out there and showing how those simple tools can help us make our learning for students more engaging just by using them for exit tickets, using them for warm-ups, using them to gather information about the students for group learning. So that's just my take on technology and content engagement, making students learning engaging and fun.
Sounds great. Do you know Casey Bell, perchance?
Yes, I do. And that's my inspiration, actually. Yeah, I really love Casey.
Yes, she's very inspiring. So well, thank you all for joining in today. And I know I'm looking forward to either catching this live or throughout the next week and being able to just follow up with you and ask you questions.
So Miguel, can you share that link again about how I can register?
Absolutely. So if I'm just going to jump back here and see if I can zoom in on that link. But the link is EdTech 2020 conference.wp.txstate.edu. And what I'll do is make sure to post that in the show notes so that people can access it and see it. And of course, the register button is right there. So that'll take you straight to the registration. So if you have an Eventbrite account, you'll start to get reminders and great stuff like that. So,
Miguel, can I say one thing before we close?
Absolutely, please do.
Okay, that is that I have to brag on these students, and there are two who aren't here at this meeting right now, that they are an amazing group of educators and professionals. And I am just in awe of what they have gone through to create this, and their dedication, their inspirations. It's just been beautiful to watch. So I wanted to publicly thank them for going on this adventure with us all together. So.
Fantastic. I think these kinds of opportunities to put together a conference will be experiences that will certainly influence you the rest of your life, and just having that background and experience is pretty good. So
I know, Miguel, did you ever think that you would be putting together a conference?
Yeah, I remember the first time I did one. So, so a long time ago. You know, I think if I'd had the opportunity to do it during my master's program, that, or even a bachelor's or earlier, the earlier the better. That it's great to do that, just to get that experience. So
I
obviously,
agree.
yeah. So this is the first of many conferences for y'all. So no doubt. Well, thank you again for your time, and we'll be sure to share the link and other resources in the show notes.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
having us.
you.
And
Yes.
Thank
thank
you all.